And hello and welcome. My name is Martin, and today we're going to be looking at the rest or a few of the other tools that we can use to sculpt the landscape a little bit. In the last tutorial, what we did was we created a mountain range and a area for water to be in, both using the sculpt, the smooth, and the flatten tool. We took a look at the ramp tool and use that, and then we said we were going to pick up in this video with these three tools. So essentially what these three tools are going to do is unlike the previous tools that actually pulled up or down dramatically on the canvas, on the landscape itself, where we were actually deforming it by pulling it up straight up, and all the pixels that were within the area of the brush were being picked up. The difference between that and the erosion and the hydro, and the noise tool is that the area that the brush is going to be in won't just go straight up. It'll go up and down. So the area that is the brush will be deformed both up and down, and only to a certain point. And then more than anything, it's going to push down. Like if you keep pushing down into it, it'll eventually make what looks like a hole. But the idea here is to not necessarily have to do that much with the brush, and it's more or less to try to break up this really flat area that is the rest of the landscape. So just for fun, we'll hit the erosion tool. We'll look at some of the tool settings. You can play around with that. Basically, the tool strength means is how hard it's going to do that. The threshold is at what level or at what point does it actually start doing the deforming. The surface thickness would be, honestly, I'm not sure. We'd have to see what that ends up doing. Then we have iteration, noise mode, and noise scale. And I would play around with those. I'm not going to go through every single setting or every single version of that, because that would be quite a few different combinations, and you can just find the combination that works best for you through experimentation. The other thing we do have is the brush settings and then the fall off, and if you watch the previous videos, you understand that it's the white area that's inside the middle of the brush, and whether it goes straight to the edge and has a hard surface or whether it has a softer surface. So let's go ahead and play with this a little bit. Okay, so you'll see what it's done is it's deformed the surface a little bit, and I'm just drawing over it. You can see areas where I maybe went over it a little bit too much, like right here, that seemed to be, pushed in just a little bit further, right? But, if we were at surface level, this would no longer look flat like it does out there. It would have a bumpy textured surface. Which, if we're looking for making things look realistic, that would definitely be it. So if we go into the hydro, we'll take a look at that one. We'll do a little bit of it over here, and we can see that it is a little different. It creates more like a pitted effect. Let's see if we can put some more over there. Okay, and so between this one had like wider, bigger holes. This one has deeper holes, less of them, and they're smooth going between the edges. So it looks more like water created that. Let's look at noise. Okay. So let's take a look at noise. Okay, and we get quite a different kind of bumpy surface. Here, this one was a lot smoother. This one that's the hydro, and then this one is the noise. Now, a lot of this can change based on the brush that you have. Right now, we're using a circle brush. If we use something like, let's say, like the alpha, this is a different shape to the brush. Right, and what it's doing here is areas that are white are being pushed down, areas that are in the negative space, I believe, are being pushed up, or I might have that backwards. Dyslexia is always so much fun. And that gives us some slightly more jagged looking areas because we had some straight edges there. So let's look at that one, and maybe let's say the pattern. And these can be changed over here in texture, so you can find something. Remember, you're looking for something that has a good distinction between black and white. So probably, you know, that seemed kind of interesting. What is that going to do for us? I'm just going to keep pushing down. Okay, so I mean, you can experiment, you can have fun. You can definitely find different materials, textures to put in here. That was underneath pattern. If you want to go back, you can always go back to the circle. And also remember that you do have strength here, so it doesn't have to come in quite as harsh as it is, and you can also increase the size of the brush and the fall off here as well. So if I wanted a much wider brush, I can definitely do a larger area there. Okay, very cool. So that's those tools right there. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to go back to sculpt. I'm going to put this on circle. Let's put the sides. Let's give this there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a plateau real quick. And the reason why I'm doing this is to show you the retop. So in this situation, what we did was we just pulled straight up. Now when we do that, we get a lot of lines and we get a lot of vertices that are very stretched. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm actually going to go and change my perspective, or change the way I'm looking at things by going from lit to going to brush wire. And we can see that there's not really a lot of vertices in those points. We can look over here and we can see that there's sort of this, there's the green one, which is the outside world, which is the bubble that we're in, but there's also this white one that we see, and that's actually the grid that's the landscape. And you can see up here up top, there's a lot of little points, right? There's a lot of points on the top one, but if I come over here to the sides, not quite so much. Those lines have been almost pulled straight up. And what the result of that is that our mesh gets stretched, and we start to see a lot of like really weird tiling in that, right? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the retop tool. And what this is going to do is going to actually add more vertices for us. So let me make this a little bit smaller so we can affect just a small area. Okay. And we can already see that it looks a little bit different. You see how this side looks really stretched up and down. Over here where we applied the tool looks a little bit smoother like it does down there, and over here it still looks pretty bad. So let's go back to lit, let's go back to wireframe mode, and let's see if we can see any difference there. And we can a little bit. I mean, where we applied the mesh was this area right here, and we can see that it does feel a little bit thicker than it did before. As you swing around, you can kind of see it in that front area right there. It's a little bit thicker. Okay, so that's what that's going to do. That's what says automatically adjust landscape vertices in X and Y offset map to improve vortex density on cliffs, reducing texture stretching. Note that that XY offset map takes the landscape slower to render and paint in the tool, so use it if needed. All right, so it is, so basically what they're saying is you're adding more vertices. That means you're adding more points to the game or to the landscape. So you're adding more information, basically. So let's go back to lit, and let's add this to the rest. All right. Okay, very cool. So we will actually come back to the invisibility tool because we need to do something else with it, but that should take care of all the tools that we have there in the sculpt. So with that, you actually have enough to be able to start sculpting and creating a landscape. You can create a house, you can create mountains now, and now you can create like a little river going by, an area for a pond, you know, a plateau, mountains, anything that you want using the between the manage and the sculpt tool. When we come back, what we're going to do in the next video is actually go into the paint tool, and we're going to be opening up blueprints for the first time and using it to create a multi-layer brush. So then that way we can actually start painting the landscape instead of everything looking the same like it does right now with just this rock. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.